The moment your phone dies is never convenient. It never happens while you are casually scrolling news headlines or watching a video you could live without. It happens when you are driving through unfamiliar roads and the map freezes. It happens when your doctor's office calls back after weeks of waiting. It happens when your wife slips in the kitchen, or when your heart skips a beat and you reach for the one device that connects you to help. And yet, year after year, we keep buying smartphones that quietly decay. Not because we misuse them, not because we drop them or abuse them, but because they were never designed to stay alive. Battery capacity fades a little every month until one day the phone that once lasted all day barely survives until lunch. Processors slow themselves down to mask aging hardware. Software updates that promise improvement quietly make everything heavier, slower, and less responsive. For younger users, this is an inconvenience. For older Americans living on fixed incomes, often alone, often in rural areas, this is something more serious. A dead phone is not just a nuisance. It is a vulnerability, a missed call from family, a delayed emergency response, a scam message you could not verify because the screen froze. Now imagine the opposite philosophy. Imagine a phone not built to impress for 2 years, but built to function for decades. Not a gadget chasing trends, but a tool designed around reliability, clarity, and trust. That is the rumor quietly circulating around what some are calling the Tesla Pi phone, a device that, if it ever exists, would not compete with Apple or Samsung on style or novelty, but on something far more radical in the modern tech world: longevity. This is not a product announcement. Tesla has not confirmed a phone. Elon Musk has not revealed a price or a launch date. What exists today are patents, industry speculation, and a broader question that deserves serious discussion. If Tesla were ever to build a smartphone, what problem would it try to solve? Because Tesla does not enter markets lightly. When it builds something, it does so because it sees failure baked into the existing system. Gas cars were inefficient and dependent on fragile supply chains. Rockets were disposable and unsustainable. Internet access was uneven and unreliable across the planet. In each case, Tesla or its sister companies did not chase features. They chased structural flaws. Modern smartphones are full of structural flaws, especially for people over 50. They are fragile, both physically and digitally. They require constant charging. They hide essential settings behind layers of menus. They collect data silently and expose users to scams that grow more sophisticated every year. And they age badly, becoming slower and less reliable long before their owners are ready to replace them. If Tesla were to build a phone, it would likely start by asking a different question. What does a person actually need their phone to do reliably every single day? Call family, send messages, navigate roads, check weather, access health information, call for help instantly. Everything else is secondary. The rumored interface philosophy surrounding the Pi phone reflects this shift. Instead of endless apps and notifications fighting for attention, the idea centers around simplicity. One screen, large, clearly labeled icons, enough spacing that shaky hands or declining vision do not result in accidental taps. No hidden swipes, no clutter, just clarity. Notifications, according to speculation, would no longer scream equally for attention. A call from your daughter would not be treated the same as a promotional alert or an unknown number. Critical alerts would rise to the top automatically. Important messages would be visible but calm. Everything else would fade into the background where it belongs. If you cannot read the screen, the phone would read it to you. One tap would return the call, nothing more. This is not about dumbing technology down. It is about respecting the realities of aging. Hands stiffen, eyes tire, memory becomes selective. Technology should adapt to people, not punish them for changing. And then there is privacy. Few things terrify older users more than scams, and with good reason. Phone-based fraud has exploded, targeting retirees with precision. Fake government notices, Medicare scams, bank alerts that look legitimate enough to fool even careful people. The damage is not just financial, It is emotional, shame, stress, loss of trust. The rumored approach for the Pi phone does not rely solely on software promises. It imagines physical control, a hardware privacy switch that cuts power to cameras, microphones, location sensors, and radios entirely. Not muted, not disabled through menus, physically disconnected. When power is gone, surveillance is impossible. Malware becomes irrelevant. This approach exists in aviation and secure systems. It is not new science. It is simply uncommon in consumer electronics because it does not maximize data collection. Tesla has publicly expressed concern about unchecked data harvesting. If it ever built a phone, this kind of hardware-enforced privacy would align with that philosophy. Battery degradation is another quiet enemy. Every smartphone owner knows the feeling. You start planning your day around outlets. You carry chargers like medical devices. You avoid long calls because you are afraid the phone will not survive them. This is not normal. It is accepted only because we have been trained to accept it. Tesla's experience with batteries is unmatched in consumer technology. It builds packs that last hundreds of thousands of miles. It manages heat with precision. It designs systems meant to endure years of daily use. The speculation around the Pi phone suggests applying similar principles at a smaller scale. Cells that degrade more slowly. Thermal systems that prevent throttling. Charging that restores meaningful capacity quickly instead of trickling energy for hours. Imagine waking up, using your phone all day, and not thinking about battery anxiety. Imagine trusting that the phone will behave tomorrow the same way it behaved yesterday and the year before. That kind of consistency builds confidence, especially for people who rely on their devices for safety and connection rather than entertainment. Connectivity is another area where rumors grow louder. Millions of Americans live in areas where cellular coverage is unreliable or non-existent. Dropped calls are not inconveniences. They are barriers. The idea of integrating satellite connectivity directly into a phone captures attention because it promises independence from fragile infrastructure. Starlink already blankets much of the planet. Miniaturizing that capability into a handheld device would be difficult, expensive, and uncertain. But even partial integration, even emergency-grade connectivity that works where cell towers do not, would change lives. Being able to call for help anywhere, message family from remote areas, or navigate reliably without fear of losing signal is not a luxury. It is security. Then there is durability. Phones today are glass slabs wrapped in thin metal frames. They crack, they bend, they fail when dropped. The rumor surrounding the Pi phone frame involves aerospace-inspired materials designed to absorb stress, resist deformation, and endure temperature extremes. Not indestructible, but resilient. A phone you do not fear dropping. A phone you do not wrap in layers of plastic to protect it from daily life. This is where Tesla's manufacturing mindset becomes relevant. It builds vehicles meant to operate in heat, cold, vibration, and impact. It understands stress cycles. It understands longevity. Applying that thinking to a phone would produce something fundamentally different from the fragile devices we accept today. Of course, none of this is confirmed. There is no official announcement, no specification sheet, no release timeline. Elon Musk himself has said he does not want to build a phone unless forced by platform restrictions. That honesty matters. It grounds the rumor. Tesla would not enter this space for fun. It would do so to solve a problem it believes others are ignoring. The rumored price point floating around online should be treated cautiously. Cost estimates based on component speculation mean little without manufacturing reality. But the economics behind the idea are compelling. A device that lasts a decade costs far less per year than one replaced every few seasons. For retirees, that difference matters. It is the difference between stability and stress. What makes this discussion worth having is not whether the Pi phone exists. It is whether the industry needs something like it. A phone designed for reliability, for clarity, for privacy, for people who do not want to chase trends but want technology that simply works. Tesla has a habit of exposing uncomfortable truths, that many things we accept as normal are actually broken, that replacement cycles are engineered, that complexity often hides inefficiency. Whether or not Tesla ever builds a phone, the conversation itself is valuable. It forces us to ask why our most essential device is also our most fragile. So treat this idea carefully, skeptically. Do not pre-order rumors, do not buy promises. Watch the signals, patents, hearings, statements, actions. That is how real products reveal themselves long before launch. If durability matters most to you, say so. If battery life defines trust, speak up. If rural connectivity is your lifeline, that deserves attention. If privacy feels under attack, you are not alone. And if simplicity is what you crave after years of fighting technology instead of using it, that may be the loudest signal of all. At Teslaris, we do not sell futures that do not exist. We analyze what is possible, what is plausible, and what is fantasy. We separate engineering reality from marketing noise. If this breakdown helped you think more clearly about where technology should go, not just where it is advertised to go, support the channel by liking this video, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and subscribing so you do not miss what comes next. The future does not belong to the loudest promises. It belongs to the designs that endure. Price or a launch date. What exists today are patents, industry speculation, and a broader question that deserves serious discussion. If Tesla were ever to build a smartphone, what problem would it try to solve? Because Tesla does not enter markets lightly. When it builds something, it does so because it sees failure baked into the existing system. Gas cars were inefficient and dependent on fragile supply chains. Rockets were disposable and unsustainable. Internet access was uneven and unreliable across the planet. In each case, Tesla or its sister companies did not chase features. They chased structural flaws. Modern smartphones are full of structural flaws, especially for people over 50. They are fragile, both physically and digitally. They require constant charging. They hide essential settings behind layers of menus. They collect data silently and expose users to